Hi, friends, it's Heidi M, and I'm back with a podcast episode. Apologies for being missing in action, but life has been busy since my last episode. But I do hope you've been following my journey through my website, highmusings.ca. In this episode, I'm going to take you back to TIFF 2025 and my conversation with filmmaker Eva Thomas. We speak about her feature film, Nika and Madison, a story told through the point of view of two young women who are navigating systemic misogyny, police violence, and the failures of justice. The film sheds light on the intimate strength it takes to endure in a world not built to protect you. I really enjoyed my conversations with Eva Thomas in the past, and knowing that she was working on this feature, I wanted to touch base with her as she was leading into the premiere of Nika and Madison at TIFF. Hope you enjoy our conversation. One. Hi, friends. We're here at TIFF 50. Can't believe it's TIFF 50.
Yes.
With Eva Thomas. Eva, it's so nice to see you again.
Nice to see you again. Thank you for coming back and talking to me.
Yes, of course. I mean, we met last year in 2024 for your other film, Aberdeen, which
That's
you
right.
were co-directing. And you had mentioned you were working on a feature, which we're going to talk about today. um, so maybe for folks who, I don't know why they wouldn't be familiar with you, but tell me a little bit about yourself, like your work and your array into filmmaking.
Sure. Well, my name is Eva Thomas, and I am an Indigenous writer, director, and producer. I work both in television, mostly comedy on TV, and I also direct films. Yes, and I guess some of the things that you might have seen is I worked for, I wrote on Shelved, which is a half-hour comedy, Zarka, which was a CBC Gem web series, Don't Even, which was an APTN Crave series, and currently working on Acting Good,
That's
which is
right. Yes.
APTN and Crave, and I really enjoy that. I love working in comedy. And it seems the work that I have done in features have all been in the drama space, and so
Yes.
I love working in both spaces, and I love working in drama and comedy. I think with me, in my drama, you're gonna get a little comedy, and in my comedy, you're gonna get a little heart. So,
Like
yeah,
life.
yes, like life, exactly.
Like life. We have to laugh, cry sometimes.
That's right. Sometimes we have to laugh to get through the crying.
That's right. So congratulations on everything that you've been doing so far. I was familiar with your work with the short film Redlights,
That's
which
right.
kind of is leading into this feature film Nika and Madison. So maybe let's talk about that process in terms of you had the idea for the short. It's now evolved into something more full-fledged for a feature. What was that journey for you in terms of your writing and that process?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, it was always a short to features project. I actually had the idea for a feature that I wanted to direct, and thought, okay, yeah, I have a feature I want to do. It's like an Indigenous Thumb of the Louise, two Indigenous women, something happens with the cops and they go on the run. I knew that much.
Yes.
That's all I knew at that time. But I knew enough that I knew that people weren't going to give me money to direct a feature having no experience.
I see.
At that time, I hadn't directed anything. So a little bit of moxie, I guess, or gumption or whatever, just sort of say like, okay, yeah, I'm going to set about this plan. I had seen a handful of people do shorts,
Yes.
and then do a feature. I'd seen that be successful a couple of times. So I was like, okay, well, I'll just do that. And I'm happy to report that the plan worked. But what I was planning, what my hope was that I would direct a short film. It would prove that I could direct. It would prove that I could tell a story. The short film played at over 30 film festivals around the world, helping me gain a bit of a track record.
Yes.
So that when I went back to the funders and said, okay, now I'm ready to make my feature, it wasn't like a girl with a dream. It was, okay, this girl has directed, and look at her work. And okay, yes, let's invest in her project. And yeah, I'm glad that everything worked out as I dreamed it would.
That's amazing. Were you also working on the feature version of Nick and Madison while you were working on Aberdeen?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. As a matter of fact, the first, I had maybe done 2 drafts of a feature coming out of Redlights, and actually really loved that feature. And gave it out to people, and they read it, and they were like, oh, we love it. We love the girls, but it just seems like everyone's solving their problems. It just seems like, that person comes in and solves that problem. That person comes in and solves that problem. And as a story editor, I knew they were right because I would have probably given the same notes. But sort of looking back on that, I kind of like understood that I was protecting them in this weird way. Like I didn't want, I was protecting them.
It's kind of in our DNA.
Yes, like I was protecting them.
Yeah.
And my credit to my producer, Tyler Levine, who obviously saw that I was going into Aberdeen and sort of like having made several features himself, was like, Aberdeen's her first feature. She might not know how. He never quite said this to me, but I assume he's like, she might not know how all encompassing it is. And trust me, it was all encompassing for like 6 to 9 months of my life. It was.
Oh wow.
You give your whole life energy into prepping and to making the thing, and then of course post. So he asked me. He said, "Are you still wanting to direct, your feature in a year from now?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course I am." Like, just naive.
Yeah.
More than anything.
Well, it's also, I think it makes sense. You think you have all the time.
Yeah, having not been through it, I was like, yeah, it'll be no problem. I'll do this film, I'll do that film, it'll be fine. But I think he was smarter than me and said, "Do you want some help with the script?" And I said, actually, I would like some help with the script. So he had worked with Michael McGowan on My Puny Sorrows. And he said, what if I reach out to Michael McGowan? And then I thought, oh, yeah, right. Michael McGowan's going to come and help me. Ha, 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 ha. But for some reason, he did. He met with me. I told him the kind of story that I wanted to make. And he listened to me. And he's like, okay. And I watched I did Michael McGowan Film Festival. And I watched all his movies and, laughed and cried. And I was like, okay, I like this guy. I like his work. And he must have sort of liked me, too, because he agreed to come on and help me. And I remember when he sent me the first, 25 pages, he sent it so fast. Like he wrote, he wrote it so fast. And it scared me because I was like, oh, I'm not at this guy's level. I got to up my game. I had to up my game. So he really sharpened me because he forced me to really like give it my best and I didn't want to look foolish in front of this like very experienced screenwriter and director. And what's so nice about working with Michael is because he's a director, he also mentored me not only through the script writing process, but as a director. Like he came out to, when we were in prep, he came out to locations and he looked at things and he was in meetings. And I told him the days that I'm nervous about this day and this day and this day. And then he would get in his car and drive the hour from his house or how far he was, come to set and give me some guidance. And then at a certain point, he'd be like, okay, I'm going to leave. And I'm like, no, don't leave yet. He's like, no, I have to leave. You got it. And so like being there to support me, but also stepping away when I needed to fly. So there was something really beautiful in the way that he took me under his wing and showed me how to do it. And also to provide the support was really, really special.
That's so nice, right? Because you also, as much as that he is very well versed in this world. For one thing, that mentorship is always so meaningful, right? Because they know that. I guess it's also people who are really good at this. They know when to step away, like you said, in terms of like, I think you're okay here. Let me see what you do. And then it's almost like, did you always know that you could always go back? And
And there were 1 or 2 times where I called him up. I was like, listen. This is what's going on, and give some guidance. But there were I remember a couple of days him telling me I'm going to leave. I'm like, no, don't leave. I was like nervous because I liked him being there just to have that support, and I think he also knew that I needed to fly on my own. I think that's because I work as a story editor with writers, and you have to want them to succeed. You have to want them. And I really felt that he wanted me to succeed, like not only in the writing process, but in making the thing. And, when I made the film, he's like, you made a beautiful movie. Like the support that he gave me and the mentorship that he gave me was really special. It's very special.
Yeah.
And that really shaped the story that we created together.
Oh, I love that for you.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. I think it's important. I always like to know the process because I think I always say this in a lot of different interviews of like, we see the end, but it's such a journey of years. And in this case, it's also years for you. So I'm just really happy for you. You've gathered some really strong folks in this film. I met one of your cast members just now, Star. But also, some of the folks that I grew up watching in some of the Indigenous films, maybe not necessarily made by Indigenous folks, but, really well known. Did you always envision that you would be surrounded by such great women in this film? And Did you write characters for them? What was that like?
Yeah, great question. Well, certainly because I had made this short, my vision was that the same actresses that were in the short would come along and we do the feature together. But Ganyu Theo, who's a really good friend of mine, she got pregnant. She wanted to have a baby. She got pregnant, and I was really excited for her. And for a really long time, I thought, I'll just write into the story. She'll be pregnant, no problem. And then she's like, I'm not going to be able to run, or I don't know, like jump off a building. And I was like, oh, okay, I have to figure it out. Well, I guess I'm going to have to change things. It took a while before I kind of accepted that. And she had recommended Star as somebody to consider. And also with the short film, Ellen Jade and Ganyo Theo are real life friends.
Yes.
And so when I was like, okay, I got to recast, I called up Ellen Jade and I asked her, who are you friends with, like in real life? And she said, I'm friends with Star Slade. And I'm like, oh, great, because she's auditioned and she's at the top of my list.
That was already.
And so, because I could really feel the friendship in the short film kind of bleed through the screen. There was a trust there. There was just something very magical. And I wanted to recreate that realness, that authenticity in the feature. And so, I cast people who are real life friends. And I really feel like that falls off the page. With the chief role, originally that was actually a male role.
Yeah.
And then right when we were getting ready to go into casting, my sister was elected chief of our First Nations community.
Oh, wow.
And I thought to myself, I want a woman chief.
Well, why not?
And naturally I thought of Gail Maurice because I just love her so much. And of course we had just worked on Aberdeen together and seemed like a natural fit. And then was looking for an uncle. And what's so great is everyone's working, and so some of the people I initially thought of were off busy working, which was great, and had just come off again working with Billy on Aberdeen, and was like, he was just so sturdy and strong and like stable as uncle in Nika Madison. So it seemed to make sense. And then I needed a lawyer, and Jennifer Podemski has been a great mentor to me. She's been a real guardian angel and a real guider, and she was in the short too. She had a very small role. She played the voice of the mother on the phone, and it just seemed like she was going to come along anyway, right? And I remember calling her up and I said, Jennifer, I really want to cast you and Gail and Billy, but I'm concerned because we all just worked together on Aberdeen. And she said, who cares? Quentin Tarantino does it, and you can do it too. And I was like, yeah, you're right, I can do it. So there's something really special about working with those actors again. In this case, many actors who I've previously worked with, and to have that mix of young, up-and-coming talent with Star Slade and Ellen Jade alongside real legends and real experienced actors, Jennifer Podemski and Billy Morasti and Gail Maurice. And then also, my two detectives are brilliant Canadian actors. In fact, when the casting director said, we think we should go out to Sean Doyle and Amanda Brugel, and I was like, yeah, right. Like, they're gonna come and do my little movie. And they're like, they are real champions of Canadian filmmakers. Why don't you make a little video? So I made a little video for Amanda, and I made a little video for Sean, sort of like saying, this is why I think you'd be good in my movie, and I gave my little pitch. And I don't know, I just feel like really blessed of all the people who have come on to help me, not only with the short, but also the feature. You're here talking to me, but really I represent like 100 people.
I totally get that. It honestly is like a community effort.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I was saying to start earlier too, is like, it feels like there's a community feel in the film because it is around community and family, and also the friendship. But I saw your list of collaborators, and I'm like, yeah, it totally looks like, maybe chosen family for some.
Yeah,
which
absolutely.
is nice. So congratulations, you're premiering here at TIFF. I'm excited for you. What are some of the hopes? I mean, there's so much richness in the film. I love the ending, that you are not spelling things out for us, and we have to feel lots of things in a good way. The visuals are great. I got my hands up. My time's up soon, but what are you hoping that audiences in this place called Canada get from this film?
I really wanted to tell a story about two strong Indigenous women. And I really wanted to tell a story that the audience would go on a journey with the women. And if you get to watch the film, we go to a lot of places. It's a bit of a journey. And I really wanted to have the audience care about these women, and I'm gonna get emotional. Root for these women and cheer for these women, and at the end be uplifted. And that's what I hope the audiences take away.
Yeah, and I think you nailed it. I mean, that's how I. We're gonna get emotional. Are we aunties?
Yes, we are. We are
aunties, right?
That's right.
I will say that was the thing that I noticed, that it's like, oh wow, this is like how I would feel if my friend was in some trouble, and I'm like, I'm just gonna go grab whatever, the bat, and I'm gonna go save her, right? So is that connection that we have as women is so important. But I also love with Star, we were saying how we love those moments of just pure joy and love that we also share, right? So again, going through your point of like just being three-dimensional, and not just numbers and statistics. Right?
I think in my director's statement, I said I want them to root for Nika Madison like they would root for their own sisters. So I mean, appreciate you saying that.
Essentially, right? Like we are rooting for each other a lot of the time. In a very dangerous world.
Yes. So. And sometimes the women around us are the people we lean on to survive and to thrive.
For sure. I mean, yeah, I think that's how it goes. And I think it's very evident. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the audiences are going to say.
Same.
And, what happens this weekend at your premiere. So thank you, Eva, so much.
Thank you.
Always so lovely to speak to you.
I appreciate you giving me this opportunity to speak about my work in such a meaningful way.
Thank you.